Welcome everyone to a call for judgment. I want to point out as I cover this story, the Baphomet Book Club, that it is not confirmed that this is actually real. Actually, some people believe that this is AI at work here, and these aren't real photos, while other people have actually said that they are real and that the libraries in Colorado, the Allen County Public Library. Now, you can go back and forth on whether it's real or whether it's not. But I'm going to cover this just to show you how sick and perverse and obsessed with children these Satanists actually are. Because while we might not think by looking at these, I mean, they look as real as you can get, but we know how dangerous AI has gotten. We've seen these deep fakes before, which I'll do a separate video on. I've done them over the years. Tom Cruise, Keanu Reeves. Frightening. You know, it's frightening that we're allowing this type of technology to even take over, especially with the stuff they can do with deep fakes, but this is a perfect example because whether it's real or whether it's not, obviously if it's real, it's a real problem. But should it surprise anyone if this was actually real? But to me, what's really sick about it is if this wasn't real, if these actually are AI-generated photos, it's just how sick these Satanists are. This just confirms how sick they are and what liars they are. Because again, the Satanists continue to talk about Satanism and witchcraft as if it's not something that's real. And they do things like this because they want to, quote unquote, troll Christians. So they want someone like me to do a video, which I am doing. But again, I'm not doing this in light of yelling and screaming and saying that this is actually real. I'm doing this to pretty much point out the fact that even if it was fake, this is how sick and warped their thinking is. That it would be funny to involve little innocent children in something like this. But again, these are the same people who want men dressed as women to be able to go into libraries and speak to young children. These are the same people that think that that should be a natural occurrence in every library in America. So let's take a look at some of these pictures that were posted online. And again, there's a debate back and forth, but even the Satanists actually think that this is real. And then other people are saying that they're not. So you could take a look at these and decide for yourself. But let's start with the first picture here on your screen, which is a bunch of kids in Druid cloaks, again, around a ritual circle with one of their sigils inside, right? But remember, they don't actually worship the devil, Satanists. Witches don't actually perform witchcraft. They just, somebody just decided to draw a circle and they just drew squiggly lines in it because sigils aren't real, apparently, even though if you just look up satanic sigils, there's a ton of these lame, embarrassing sigils that these people use in all of their rituals, right? And it does look like a little kid took a magic marker and just drew squiggly straight lines or whatever all over the place, but they want us to believe that they don't actually summon demons and spirits. So that's funny to them. As of course, this is funny, having the Baphomet himself, which you'll see in many of these photos, sitting around with kids, apparently. And again, even if this isn't real, do you know what the odds are within the next 5 years, maybe 1 year, maybe the odds within the next week are of this actually occurring? I guarantee you this is the next step because once the Satanists, like I've been covering on my website, once the Satanists get into the schools and everybody gets desensitized to them because they come out and they're like, oh, we didn't do anything bad. We didn't do anything bad. We're not doing anything bad. People get desensitized, then they get more rights. And then it's from there they go, hey, how about Satanists, teach a lesson in the high school? Huh? They have their own class, right? Because they don't actually believe in God or the devil, so they should be able to teach theologies and all these things that they claim that they're all about. So they should be able to have their own classes, and universities will have their own classes. Next thing you know, there'll be a third grade class on this stuff, and then they'll just do library hangouts where the Baphomet shows up. And people will become so desensitized to what demons look like and the Baphomet that they're like, woo, cool, that's really great graphic work. Who made that costume? It's unbelievable. Here's another picture of a fountain of Baphomet that's, does look a little bit AI generated, but that's sitting in a library. You get another Baphomet reading to kids, ha, 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 ha. Then you get this one, another one with sigils written all over the floor with these kids sitting around this giant sigil. And this is supposed to be humorous to all of us, to everybody out there. I mean, this is the warped, again, sense of humor that Satanists apparently have, where kids aren't innocent to them. Kids, oh, this is, and then, if you read some of the comments underneath the posts, The kid, people are talking about how, oh, it's better to indoctrinate them with this, or what's the difference between doing this with kids and having kids go to church? They're like, at least this is more realistic, or at least they're learning something here. I mean, that's how sick these people are. They don't look at children as children. And again, this goes back to Baal worship in the Old Testament, where they would sacrifice their children, their sons and daughters, to Baal. Right? And you look at it and you read the Bible and you're like, oh my good, not only are they sacrificing children, they're sacrificing their own children. How sick, how soulless can you be to do that? I mean, you're not human, right? Soulless, completely like we hear about all these people who are mass murderers all over the ID channel and those shows that promote that stuff. You're just like, how could somebody do that? Well, in the Bible, we hear about parents sacrificing their own children, right? So how are we supposed to look at these Satanists? Obviously, you want to give people a benefit of a doubt, but we constantly see with the story hour, with posts like this, that they don't look at children as human beings at all. They don't look at them as kids, that's for sure. They're like, oh, they're not really kids. They're not innocent and pure, because these people are so sick. So we continue on, we have Baphomet statues, little girls, in devil horns. I mean, this one obviously looks like it's AI generated because the way the books are being held. But, again, this stuff is going viral. And of course, a lot of Christians are believing it, which, who could blame Christians for actually believing it? You don't expect them to actually, look and dissect every photo, because when they see stuff like this, what do they automatically think? Well, they go, they're doing it with, they're already in the after school Satan clubs. They're already, having drags in the library. So of course they should, would think that this was actually happening, because things are getting so insane. Why wouldn't they think so? But it's only a matter of time before this does become a reality. So here's another kids sitting on the floor. You've got your all-seeing eye and your pentagram and the ritual circle. But of course, remember, the Satanists don't actually believe in Satan. The dollar bill with the all-seeing eye of Lucifer, the pentagram. These are all things the Satanic Temple use, the Freemasons use. But, none of it's real. It's all make-believe. And that's why, people like me get silenced, because we're dangerous threats to society because we expose this stuff. So this one actually looks like maybe the only real photo. Well, some of them do look really real. I mean, the first photo, a couple of them do. But this one looks pretty real. I mean, this could be some type of Halloween thing. But, here's a guy, in his mid-50s, living at home. He's just showing up at a library, talking to kids. I mean, this is just normal behavior. You have kids, holding up, wearing devil horns, holding up devil horns, wearing Baphomets on their head, et cetera, et cetera. Then you actually get some of the quotes. These are actually real quotes that people are writing underneath these pictures, real or not. That's my point of doing this and covering it. It's, you could decide for yourself, but it's pretty obvious these are AI generated. But look at the response that people have. So that's what it leads to, right? Is you could generate these pictures, but then you start getting people to talk about, oh, we should really do this. We should really have Baphomet Book Club. Why aren't we having Baphomet Book Club? And then you realize, if you think about it, you're like, well, this is probably the next step. Because, they're already in the schools, right? So the next step will be, oh, they deserve more religious freedoms. They're not hurting anyone. They're having a good time. And then you get people going, I especially love to picture all the kids throwing the devil horn, saying, yay, Satan. Or he says, yay, Satan. I mean, unbelievable. These are grown-ups, by the way, supposed grown-ups. Obviously, if you've seen some of the videos I've done about how we live amongst, adult children, this is what I'm talking about, right? These are people who are in their 40s and 50s. Oh, they're so cute. I love this. Not saying, all right, this is going too far, or why are you guys obsessed with children? Stay away from the kids. Well, that's because it's a massive grooming operation, right? And that's obviously, that even ties into how communism works. And some of the videos I've uploaded on the documentaries on communism, right? Going after kids at a young age, getting them away from the home and indoctrinating them. Well, that's what they want to do here, the same methods with Satanism. And that's one of the reasons that they're targeting kids. And not just, that reason, obviously. We know the other reasons they target kids, which you can't talk about here, but you all know. So then you move on, you got, kids, you got more Baphomet, kids worshiping Baphomet reading, oh, it's so funny, and people see this stuff and they're like, it wouldn't really be a big deal if, somebody dressed up as a goat and went to a library and read with my kids. But it is a big deal. Why are children not being protected in this government? I wonder why, in this society. I wonder why. Because look who's in control. So you continue on, you got more Baphomet statues, then you get more of this stuff with these sigils, right, on the floor. And these, I mean, they tell you that they don't worship the devil, right? They're like, we don't worship the devil, blah, blah, blah. And then it's just like, all right, well, explain the sigils, explain this stuff, explain the cloaks. What do you like to play? Dress up? And then people literally they don't even ask questions. They just assume, oh, the Satanists are just having a good time. They like to play Harry Potter and dress up and sit in circles and chant in hymns and whatever you call them, in tongues, I should say. And nobody thinks any of this stuff's real. Meanwhile, every single movie and every single thing we see in society glorifies this stuff. So then we continue on, just creepy. Just the fact that somebody would even take the time to make these is just disturbing. But, most Satanists have a lot of free time because most of them don't have jobs, because most of them are being funded by our government, right? Which means most of them are being funded by us, people who work out of our tax money, right? So we fund this type of behavior, just like we fund a lot of these dorks that sit around and play video games, make, upload them onto YouTube and get 0 views. And they're like, look, I'm a video gamer. It's like, how are you paying for food? It's like, oh, right. I'm paying for your food. Gotcha. So here you got, kids just sitting around doing more rituals. So this is ha-ha funny stuff, right? You got devil horns and more devil horns on little girls, and nobody just goes, this is a sick way of thinking, right? When they talk about the thought police and we talk about, how there's literally, it's going to be like Minority Report where, you get arrested pre-crime for how you think. These people put this stuff out there. And if people knew this stuff a long time ago, they wouldn't allow this type of behavior. They'd be like, whoa, these people are sick, they're perverse. Now it's like everything is just a joke. So everybody sees this stuff and like, have a sense of humor. This stuff is funny. You're a stick in the mud, Mr. Judgment, or whatever my name is these days. No. This is how you start desensitizing people, and this is how you start getting people, right? So when this stuff goes viral, this is the problem, which this is semi-viral. I saw somebody post about this even on my channel, and, you look on Twitter and stuff, these posts are all over the place. So even if somebody just goes, you know what, I'm going to troll Christians, and I'm going to make, AI-generated pictures of Baphomet in the library, and kids doing satanic rituals and all this stuff. And then people see it, and they all start laughing about it. The Christians start getting angry about it, right? So then they're like, haha, and then the Satanists like, oh, look, we got them pretty good. Maybe we should really try this. And then we all think about it, and we're like, well, if they do really try this, they will be able to get away with this. How could we assume that they wouldn't be able to get away with this? Because they already are technically getting away with it, right? Because they already are getting the ACLU and other organizations to defend them, aren't they? I mean, I covered that in a video that I tried to upload here a couple days ago, which got a strike without even being live. It was unlisted, which means I was going to put it live and set it on a timer. It was up for 5 minutes after I uploaded it. They gave me a strike, which means an algorithm read something in it that they didn't want me to talk about. Probably a lot of it, because they don't seem to want me to expose the Satanic Temple or any of these satanic organizations, because they're fronts. They're government fronts. They're indoctrinations. That's what they are. They're indoctrination stations for these kids. They're gateways. So then you get all these people out there who see these pictures anyway, who are Satanists, and like, we need to try it. We should do this. This is great. Look how Christians are reacting. Just imagine if we got one in a library, and then it goes from there, and it snowballs. So when people hear me talk about it, I'm sure people will comment or do videos on it. Well, probably not do videos because nobody watches anymore, but they would just be like, look, he thinks it's real and it's AI-generated. No, but the problem is that this provokes it. This brings it to the forefront, which is what they want to do. They want to say, let's do this. Let's try this. Or somebody sees this, thinks it's real, and is like, well, I'm going to get this in my library. Then they go to their library, and the library's like, I don't know about that. And then they go, oh, but I heard you had like a Bible study thing on the weekends once a month or once every couple months. So we're going to have ours. And they're going to go, no, you're not. And they're going to, okay, we're going to sue you. Then they go, okay, you can have it. And then we get people dressing as Baphomet, going after 2-year-olds. Parents don't have a clue about Baphomet or about Satanism. They think it's all fake. And they're like, oh, we're just playing dress up and Harry Potter and make believe. The parents leave them there. They're sitting inside ritual circles with sigils in it. They don't know what a sigil is. I mean, it just goes from there. And that's how we continue to become a satanic society. So I wanted to cover that anyway for everybody out there who didn't see the pictures and just see how what their warped sense of humor is. It's just warped. I mean, it's perverse, it's sick, it's constantly targeting children, constantly. Like they don't look, like I said, you know, Baal worship, they don't look at them as human beings. They literally don't. It's sickening. Absolutely sickening. I thank everyone for being here. Hope you're doing well. A reminder, if you haven't seen, I've uploaded a couple other videos. Understandable that I don't have many subs these days, but just to make sure if you didn't get notifications to go back and check if you missed any of them, you want to see them. I thank everyone again for being here. Hope you're doing well. God bless you and your families.